You know, every single time you log on, you're stepping into a world that's being reshaped, not just by technology, but by the law itself. Today, we're diving deep into India's high stakes race to regulate its own digital frontier. It's a journey that takes us from old colonial era codes to brand new laws and right up to the challenges that are just around the corner. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to explore what makes the digital world so unique. Then, we'll trace the history of India's very first cyber law and the massive overhaul it just went through. After that, we'll get into the tricky problem of borderless crime. And finally, we'll take a peek at what the future might hold. Let's just start with the stakes, okay? Take a look at this number, 2.35 million US dollars. That's the average cost of a single data breach in India. It's a huge figure, and it proves that getting cyber law right isn't just some academic exercise. It's about protecting the entire economy, and really, national security. So what exactly is this world we're trying to regulate? Well, the term cyberspace actually came from a science fiction author, William Gibson, not a techie. And honestly, it's the perfect word. It captures this idea of a non-physical realm, this virtual space that's so much more than just the internet. It's where our banking happens, our social lives, and even our most critical infrastructure now lives. Okay, so let's dig into the unique nature of this digital frontier, because the very things that make it a world of incredible opportunity are also what make it so ridiculously hard to govern. You see, every single one of these characteristics is a total double-edged sword. Take anonymity, right? It's a fantastic tool for free speech, for protecting activists. But it's also the perfect shield for scammers and cyberbullies. Same thing with global reach. It connects us all, but it also completely erases borders for criminals. And that is the fundamental challenge for any lawmaker. So, how did India first try to bring some kind of order to this chaotic new world? Let's jump to its foundational law, a piece of legislation that was a direct response to the dawn of the digital age in the country. This timeline really tells a story of law playing catch-up. Before the year 2000, there was pretty much a legal black hole. If someone stole data, you'd struggle to prosecute them under traditional laws. So the IT Act of 2000 was this huge leap forward. It created a legal rulebook for everything from online shopping to cybercrime. But by 2009, think about it, tech had already evolved so much that the law needed a major update just to keep pace. This is so important because the IT Act basically created a new vocabulary for crime. I mean, before this, if you changed a website's code, was that just vandalism? If you used someone's password, was that simple theft? This law made it crystal clear these are specific cyber offenses, like Section 66 for hacking, and they come with specific penalties. It finally gave law enforcement the tools they needed for crimes that literally didn't exist a decade earlier. And to make this really hit home, think about this scenario, which is just way too common. This is a classic case of smishing. That's phishing through a text message. It works by creating panic. Now, under the IT Act, this isn't just plain old fraud. It has elements of identity theft, of cheating by impersonation. It's the perfect example of the exact kind of crime these laws were designed to fight. But here's the thing. The IT Act was just one piece of the puzzle. As technology wove itself into every part of our lives, it became obvious that the entire criminal justice system, which hadn't really changed since the colonial era, needed a complete reboot. And wow, what a reboot it was. In 2023, India didn't just tweak its laws, it threw them out and started over. The old Indian Penal Code from 1860 and all the procedural stuff that went with it were replaced by this new legal trinity. We're not talking about a simple update here. This was a total replacement of a system that had been around for more than 150 years. What we're seeing here is a massive shift in philosophy. The old system, it was built for a world of paper and files, which is why it was famous for delays. The new code, the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhid, or BNS, is built for the digital age. It doesn't just define cybercrimes, it actually builds technology right into the legal process itself. Think online case filing, virtual court hearings, all designed to speed things up. But hey, even the most modern laws run into a huge problem in cyberspace. Borders just don't exist. This brings us to one of the biggest puzzles in all of cyber law. If a crime happens everywhere at once, whose rules are we playing by? This one question, right here, is at the absolute heart of the challenge. Does the law apply where the hacker is physically sitting, or where the server is, or maybe where the victims live? In a world without digital borders, our traditional ideas of jurisdiction completely fall apart. And that creates a massive headache for police all over the globe. So to try and solve this, courts have come up with this kind of legal toolkit to stretch their authority. The territorial principle is easy enough. If a computer used in the crime is in India, Indian law applies. But this is where it gets really interesting. The effects doctrine says that even if the hacker is in another country, if their attack causes serious harm inside India, they can be prosecuted there. It's a legal framework trying to grab a crime that basically exists in the cloud. But, legal principles are one thing. Actually, enforcing them is a whole other ballgame. Without international agreements, trying to get evidence or extradite a suspect from another country is incredibly hard. India hasn't joined key treaties like the Budapest Convention on Cybercrime, which means cooperation is often slow and complicated, and that's a huge roadblock for investigators.
Which brings us right to the horizon. Just as the law has finally started to get a handle on the internet and social media, a whole new wave of technology is coming that's going to push the boundaries of our legal frameworks all over again.
And a perfect example of this is deepfakes. Lawmakers are now scrambling to figure out what it means to regulate synthetically generated information, content that looks and sounds totally real but is completely made up by an AI. And this isn't just about silly videos. We're talking about massive disinformation campaigns, super sophisticated fraud, and political manipulation on a scale we have just never seen before. And it's not just fake content. The attacks themselves are getting way more creative. Supply chain attacks are incredibly sneaky. Instead of attacking a company head-on, hackers go after a trusted software provider that serves hundreds of other businesses. It's like poisoning the town's well instead of going after individual houses. It's a huge systemic risk. All of this shows that India knows this race is nowhere near finished. The government is already planning its next big move, the Digital India Act. Now, this isn't just another patch. The idea is to build a whole new framework from the ground up, one that's designed from day one to handle the weirdness of AI, the Internet of Things, maybe even quantum computing. The goal is for the law to finally lead, instead of just reacting. This quote from James Madison was actually cited by India's Supreme Court in a case about Internet access. And it's such a powerful reminder of what's really at stake here. In a digital democracy, laws can't be a secret. Transparency and public knowledge, they aren't just nice ideas. They're absolutely essential for a functioning society, especially when these laws control our rights online. And that really leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Law, by its very nature, is slow, it's careful, technology is explosive and disruptive. That creates this constant gap. So can our legal systems ever truly get ahead of the curve? Or are they just destined to be in this constant, breathless race to catch up? That's the challenge for every single digital society today.